I'm Christina Bennington and I play Raven in Bad Out of Hell. Come on into my dressing room. Let's go watch me put my makeup on and get ready for the show. It's nearly time. Time to get ready for the show. Usually it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes, but I'm always here early because I hate being rushed. So here we go. I play Raven. She is the daughter of Falco and Sloane, and she has been locked up in a tower by her parents her whole life. And we meet her on the eve of her 18th birthday, where all the adventure starts to kick off as she sees Strat on the street and finally escapes to fall in love with him. I think what's really wonderful about this show is that it pulls in such different demographics of people, especially multi-generational. We have a lot of people come, mother and daughter teams, who say they really identify with Sloane and Raven's relationship, which is really cool. We have people who've listened to this music for 40 years and love it, and it's their favourite, and they have nostalgia for it, and they bring along, you know, their kids and maybe their parents, who also grow to love it in a completely new way, hearing it sung by us for the first time rather than the legend that is Meatloaf. A really magical moment is during Heaven Can Wait, they have this incredible lighting system. So it's like, it looks like stars over the whole auditorium. So I'm being filmed by a camera up close, as well as performing full out to the audience. And it's quite an overwhelming feeling to have this full band behind you and lights that look like stars belting out this very cathartic anthem, really. And the last couple of moments of that song are very much like, pinch me, do I really do this as a job? I am very, very particular with what I listen to before the show. I guess a show that's so rooted in a certain era of music means that I want to tap into that, so I have a very specially curated dressing room playlist, which has taken me kind of the length of the job to perfect. There's about 150 songs on it, so I always get something that's like relevant. It has a lot of kind of 70s, 80s rock on it, as well as things that I think Raven might be interested in now. And that's something that when it gets to the half, that music goes on and really gets me ready for the performance. It was a really wild audition process because our director, Jay Scheib, is so wonderful at pushing people outside of their comfort zone. So he would be very encouraging of me just doing anything wild, which was okay with me. And I would go in and I brought a Genesis song for my first audition, and I told them, you know, I've brought this Genesis song, and I think they just couldn't believe it because a lot of people were going in with I think Alone was the top song that everyone sang, or things from other rock musicals and stuff, and I sang it and they were like, oh gosh, your CV is very legit soprano, it's really interesting that you've chosen to bring this. And I guess this was something that I've always known I could do, but no one's ever given me a chance because my CV is so heavy on soprano and showboat and Sweeney Todd and all those kind of things, so I was really excited to do something so different. It was a lot of pairing up in the auditions with potential strats and stuff, and actually something which I've never spoken about before is I did my first round audition, which was general stuff, and then I got called back in for first cover Raven, and I said, do you know what, no, because I'm the right age, I can sing it, I think I have like a perspective and an opinion about this part, and I feel like I should be seen for the role, so please remove me from the audition process. And I'm very lucky to have an agent who was very behind me in that and said, I agree. So I was pulled out of the process and they said, oh no, please come in for Raven. And I think that's one of the big turning points for me in my career, was standing up for myself and saying, actually no, I don't want to cover that role, I think I should be playing it. And it was probably a large part of why I then got so far in the audition process, because having the confidence to do that and then being called back in for the role meant that I had the confidence to give opinions in the room, and when I was asked about the character and things, I wasn't scared to, because I felt like I had nothing to lose, because I'd already made, I suppose, a dramatic statement of, I believe in this project. It's been really wild for me being given this opportunity to do a rock musical, because I have been involved in so many classic, legit soprano shows, which is a part of my voice and that I really love. And I guess I'm excited to do something again which explores that range, and that it's a different sort of satisfaction when you accomplish a real soprano song, because there's always somewhere different to go with it. You can always be richer or fuller, and that's where my training in classical music comes in. So this was definitely a little bit different, because with a rock belt it's kind of like you hit the placement and you've got it. So the challenge then becomes, how big can I make it? How, you know, where can I push this to next? Which has been a really different learning curve for me, doing something also so physically different, because I've always been very into physical fitness and training, and I've finally been given a role where when you can create something, you can decide that physical life of the character. And for me, Raven was very straight away animalistic, and one of my favorite things, which I've now created a hashtag Raven Flies, is making her really physically have no inhibitions, because she's lived in a tower all her life. She doesn't maybe have the same social awkwardness that a lot of people do. She can just go for whatever she feels. So it's animalistic. I jump a lot, I climb things, and it's crazy, as opposed to a lot of shows I've done where I've been very corseted and petticoated and much smaller in that way. Well, I spend a lot of time outside of the show making sure that I'm ready, because we have quite a big rake on the stage as well, so it requires a lot of work really to make sure that I don't get injured. I'm very dedicated to Reformer Pilates, which is an amazing way to stay strong. I also run and I do strength and conditioning training, because I think your body is really what you're relying on to be able to be fresh every night and portray a character. So I want to make sure that I'm always ready and strong, and I'm not going to get injured. So also sleep and rest is very important. I think it goes very underrated sometimes. One of the main pieces of advice I always give to graduates and younger performers is learn your craft from the people around you and people that you're working with. But then be very sure that you know what you like and why you like it, and to have your own taste, and to not be afraid of that, because it doesn't matter if you don't like the same thing as someone else. It's just important to know why you don't like it or why you like it, because then it makes it easier to make choices. And every time you watch something, you're watching it not only as an audience member and loving the magic of theatre, but also as an artist. I think it's really important to be very aware of what social media is, and to understand that of course everyone is going to portray and present the best version of themselves on there. And I think as long as you maintain a healthy relationship with it and you understand that not everything is as it seems on social media, it can be a really wonderful tool to connect with fans. I know that when I was kind of mid-teens and thinking, oh, I'd love to do musical theatre, it would have been so amazing for me to be able to message a leading lady on the West End and say, look, I don't know if you'll even see this message, but I would love some advice on this, this and this. And every so often if I see a message that I'm like, I could really help this person, you know, I've had people who message me for singing advice, and I'll send them a quick video back and be like, this one tip will really change this for you, here's a bit of quick advice. Or to be able to offer them advice for auditioning for drama schools. Actually, if it wasn't for social media, you wouldn't be able to give advice and present what it's actually really like to be a performer, so that people don't have this idea in their head of I guess a glamorous version, because we're real people doing real jobs and putting the work in behind the scenes, and it's nice to be able to show people that aspect too. It's been the absolute adventure of a lifetime, to be honest, this job. I couldn't imagine, I couldn't have imagined when I began it just how much it would change my life in lots of ways. I've developed massively as a performer, in my personal life. I've become a lot more confident in, I guess, my ability and in my talent, but also in my, I guess, in the way I decide to conduct myself as a performer, because, you know, different things work for everyone, and I just think it's important to understand how you work and how you want to be in this industry, just like you do, like anyone does in a job. Yes, I've just announced that I'm doing my debut solo concerts at Crazy Coq's on the 7th of January, and do you know what? One of the main reasons that I wanted to do that is because it's quite scary. It's quite, the very act of agreeing to do a solo concert is putting out there, do you know what, I think I have something to say, and I think an evening with me would be entertaining. So I guess I've had a little taste of it here and there. We did a musical theatre brunch, which the lovely Andrew Pollock and I hosted, and we had a couple of guests from the show, Danielle and Alex. Danielle, who's going to be in my concert as well, and I guess there I discovered how much I also love talking to people in between songs, and this show for me is going to be a wonderful opportunity to play with a really cool band, have some amazing guests, and sing a lot of songs that I've always wanted to sing or that are my favourite songs. And to connect, I guess, with people in an intimate space, which when you've been for the last year and a half playing to, you know, thousands of people a night, which I'm very lucky to do, it's quite exciting and exposing, terrifying and wonderful to suddenly be like, I'm going to be in a room with 80 people who I can see everyone's faces, which I think is going to be really cool. We'll be doing everything from the classics, a little bit of light opera in there, back to my roots. One of my favourite songs from when I was 12, so I can't tell you which one that will be, but to be honest, it's just really wonderful to, after singing kind of the same things for a while, to be singing so many different things in quick succession in one evening, so it's exciting. My special guests are Daniel Buckley and Danielle Steers, my two favourite Dans, which, I don't know, I made myself laugh when I chose them. They're both really, really wonderful friends of mine and both extremely talented. I'm sure a lot of people recently saw Eugenius, which Dan starred in, which I thought he was absolutely hilarious in. And they both just have such different and wonderful voices, which I think is really fun to duet with people who bring something different out in you and people you admire. There are so many people that are out there that I just think are so incredible at their craft and who I'd love to perform with, and it's really, really fun that two of them are my friends and they said yes. Yes, it is at Crazy Coq's on Monday the 7th of January, 7 p.m. and 9:15 p.m, and you can get tickets on the Brasserie Zadel Crazy Coq's website. You can follow me on Instagram at Christina Bennington or Twitter at Christina Ben if you want to see, I suppose, lots of stories of me hanging out, doing Pilates, eating delicious food, and backstage. Thank you so much for getting ready with me. It's time for warm-up, so I gotta say goodbye. Bye!